Athletic dads, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an Olympic lift variation and some strength work afterwards, but I wanted to answer some of the most frequently asked questions about the Athletic Dad training program, and no better way to do it than answer the questions as we are training. So we're gonna talk about what type of equipment we need, if there's any specialty items we need in the gym. We're gonna talk about who exactly this program is for and who it's gonna benefit the most. Then we're gonna talk about if you can start it, if you haven't trained in a long time, or if you are currently training, how it's gonna be beneficial, and a few other things. So we're gonna get after the training session a little bit, and in between lifts, we'll answer some of those questions. First big question is, who is this program for? So let me back up a little bit. 15 years ago, when I got into strength and conditioning, I had left playing Big Ten college football. I played at Indiana University until 2009, and then I was pursuing professional football. So I had a couple options in my training, places to be able to go to get this type of training. So you could pay $1,000 a month and go to a academy that specialized in training professional athletes. As a broke college kid, coming out of school, I didn't have any money to be able to put into that process. So I wasn't gonna do that. Looked around at other gyms. What else did we have? We had Burn Body Boot Camp. We had Orange Theory. We had a lot of these high intensity interval training type facilities. We had CrossFit. I was looking for performance training, so improvement of speed, strength, power, agility. And none of these places checked that box for me. So I started working in group fitness, and I was running the group fitness workouts, but when I had personal training clients, I would train them like I knew how to train as a Division I athlete. And what I recognized from talking to my first 20 or so clients was the style of training we were doing was totally different than anywhere that they could go to get this training, where you're doing compound movements for strength and hypertrophy, where you're jumping, where you're sprinting, where you're throwing medicine balls, where your training is based around performance in everyday life. So I recognized that there was something missing in the field, so I decided to then be that individual who would train people this way. So fast forward, 15 years later, I've still always trained my adults the same way. I've trained them to be athletic. I've trained them to jump and sprint. And I consistently hear the same message. There's nobody doing this. There's nobody doing this. And 5 months ago, I became a dad, and talking to a lot of my friends, former college and professional athletes, I recognized that they don't have a good place that they can go to get this type of training, especially professional high-level training. You can go to LA Fitness, kind of walk your way around the gym, hit some machines, hit some strength work here and there, but you're not really training to improve athletic performance. And I've heard from a lot of these people that that's something they miss, that they miss being able to dunk, they miss being able to sprint fast, they miss being able to jump. So when I built this program out, I was specifically thinking about dads who are 30 to 45 years old, who want to regain the athleticism that they had as high school and college athletes and train like an athlete. And also, after working with hundreds of adults and training them this style, we've had some incredible physical transformations where they not only feel better, but they look way better, because training athletically gives you that athletic body and people just like how that looks. But with that being said, if you're an athlete, a current athlete, who doesn't have a ton of time to train because you're pursuing other things, whether it be business or starting a family or anything like that, this training program has a lot packed into about 3.5 hours a week if you include the sprint stuff on day one. And it checks every box that you need to continue to build up your athleticism, as well as, if you haven't trained this style, to be able to regain some of the athleticism that you've missed out on. So how much recent training experience do you need to have before you get into this program? This is a question I've got a couple times from individuals who used to train athletically, have started a family, and maybe run a couple times a week but haven't been in the weight room for a while. This program is perfect for you because how we progress the strength movements early on, the compound movements are based around percentages, but also on a time constraint. So there's a lot of on the minute training. Percentages around 60 to 65%. And even if you don't know what that is, the percentages are gonna push the pace enough to where you're not able to go super heavy anyways. As we progress through the program and those percentages go up, we add open sets to where after the on the minute training at a certain percentage, you've got freedom to be able to lift as heavy as you would like in that rep range on that certain movement. So if you're somebody who's been training for a while, myself for example, I can really push that even if the main movements in the time constraints are 60 to 65%, I can still then push a 90, 95% rep on these strength movements. If you haven't been training, you just keep it right around that 60, 65% and work up to a little heavier sets to just see how that feels and to be able to add a good enough stimulus to create some change. As the sprints progress, we go from a ton of resisted sprints where you're not able to hit max speed, so everything is slowed down so you're not adding too crazy of a sprint stimulus to be able to get hurt from. Then we progress the sprints the same way, so after about 6 weeks, we are then getting into some top speed work, but we're really not hitting anything over 25 to 30 yards until the last few weeks of the program. The idea being after 12 weeks, then you have exposed yourself to enough sprints, so then you can really get into more of that max speed, longer distance type sprinting. So whether you've been training and just want something new, or you haven't trained, this is a perfect program for you. Do you need any special equipment in your gym to be able to run this program? All of our compound movements are gonna use a barbell and plates, so that's necessary, which you can find at any gym. You'll need a little bit of space to be able to sprint, and then the only extra piece of kind of specialty equipment that you would need is some type of sled to be able to push or pull in the resisted sprints. I showed early on in the program pushing a box, just one of the plyo boxes, pushing it across the turf. So I use that as a resisted sprint. We have sleds here that we can pull as well. Or if there's a hill that you can run up, it does very similar things to the resisted sprints. And if you have none of that, every gym's gonna have a treadmill. During those resisted sprints, you would just run at a high incline on the treadmill. So you really don't need any extra equipment. It's nice if you have a sled. I just think it's fun to be able to sprint with weight behind you. If you can't do that, crank that incline up and run your sprints on that treadmill. Is there any Olympic lifting in the program? So obviously I'm doing an Olympic variation here. The answer is no. There are no Olympic lifts in the program, but the last 6 weeks of the programming, we start to work on clean and snatch specific pulls. Once we finish the 12-week program, I will shortly have a Athletic Dad concurrent training program going on through the Train Heroic app, where we're gonna build a community of athletic dads all pursuing athleticism. And in that concurrent programming, we will be building in Olympic lifts. So the idea is getting comfortable with some of the movements and some of the pulls towards the end of the program. So by the time we jump into the Athletic Dad concurrent, you will be able to start then building up the Olympic lifts. And as soon as that is live, I'll leave links in this YouTube video and all the other YouTube videos that we've put out about the Athletic Dad training. So if you're finding this when we do have that concurrent model out, you'll be able to click the link and get involved with the community. And it's gonna be $9 a week. We're gonna follow the same type of programming 3 days a week, about 1 hour each day, full body training, compound movements, mobility, flexibility work, all the things that we need as dads to make sure that we can show up as the best father possible for our kids. Are there any deload weeks? The answer is no. If you followed any of my stuff for any amount of time, pretty familiar with the idea that I don't like deload weeks. I don't like programming times where you intentionally go in to lift less intense and less often to try to help kind of speed up recovery. Everything is programmed well enough as we progress through the 12 weeks that you shouldn't need a deload, but if you do, I write in the ebook a couple options that you can take if you do feel like you need a deload. Naturally, I feel like life works in a lot of deload weeks anyway, so I don't like having people intentionally skip training sessions or intentionally drop their volume, because I've seen too many people go into deload weeks when they feel good, they deload for a week, and then they come back out of it and feel worse than they did before they went in the deload week. So no reason in my mind to do that, but I do give you some techniques where if you're interested in a deload at any time during the program, how to do it. And ultimately, I am very proud of this program, and I know that it's gonna be able to have a very positive effect on a lot of people. So because of that, I just want you to get the program and try it out. If you give it a shot and get through it and you think this is not for me, send me a DM, send me an email, I'll send you your money back. I just think there's a huge gap missing in the fitness industry of people who were former high school and college athletes, want to continue to train like that, have different priorities and different demands on their life now, so they know they can't train 5, 6, 7 days a week, but still want to be athletic, still want to be able to go on the weekends and play pickup basketball with their buddies, or go play flag football on the weekend and not be worried about getting hurt. This is a program for you if you find yourself in that situation. Every exercise comes with a video demo, and at least one day every week of the program, you'll be able to go to a long form YouTube video of me doing the training, where I go a little more into depth talking about why we're doing the things we're doing, what we're trying to get accomplished. And I just think that's helpful to kind of clear up any questions that people have as they go through the program. We use a lot of AMRAP sets in the program. I think it is a great strategy, one, for efficiency and also for hypertrophy. Again, if you're an individual who has been training for a long time, then those AMRAP sets are just heavier than if you're an individual who's new to it, but you're still gonna get a pretty similar hypertrophic stimulus from it. Usually around 3 sets, you're gonna hit as many reps as you possibly can each set. Those will naturally start to decrease as you go through the sets. So what we're gonna do here is slight incline. We've got just one plate under the bench. We're gonna go 225, as many reps as we can do, and then we'll go chin ups, as many reps as we can do, and we're just gonna bounce back and forth, 3 sets of each of them. When we're doing AMRAP sets, we're not trying to work to failure. We're just trying to work to where we have 1, 2, 0 reps in reserve. So I might have been able to squeeze out another 1, but if I would have tried that and failed, then that would have gone against the principle that I literally just talked about. So 12 on that one. We're gonna move over, hit some weighted chin-ups. Yeah. Again, great strategy if you're just short on time. These AMRAP sets, pick 2 exercises that are antagonistic of each other. So we're doing a push and a pull. You could do a hinge and a squat, but find a weight on one of the movements that you can do for 8 to 12 reps of the first set. It's a great place to start if you're thinking about where to start with the weight. Get as many as you can get. You might get 12, then 9, then 7. And then I like pairing a body weight exercise, so just like we're doing here. But again, 3 sets, like 7 minutes. Crazy pump going on. Last set here. And then how you tell if you're making progress with something like this is you either can do the same amount of reps in less time or more reps in the same amount of time with the same weight. So it's very easily progressed. It's just so easy to recognize if you're making progress, to get a win, to get yourself excited to come back the next time. Because it's all about consistency. It's all about showing up in training, even on days, and especially on days that you don't feel like coming in. This is a great way to get a win, build some confidence, pump your ego a little bit, and give yourself some juice for the next time you go into the gym, because you can tell yourself, man, I didn't feel great at all, and I went in and hit a rep PR or a specific variation PR. It's just a great way to stack wins. These weighted chin-ups have been beating me up pretty good. 20-pound dumbbell in between the legs here. Hit as many reps as we can do. We've been right around that 12, then I think we got down to 8. And then another really good option, if you can't do tons of chin-ups or pull-ups, it's the hardest body weight exercise there is. So just strap yourself into a lat pull-down machine, wide grip for pull-ups, close grip, supinated grip for chin-ups, and then just rip from there, and then adjust the weight stack based on being able to accomplish 8 to 12 reps on that first set, and then keep that weight. You'll be able to get the same stimulus from that as you will from a chin-up. All right, so we're finishing up with this 5-minute Chinese plank. So shoulders on the bench, heels on the bench, driving through the heels, squeezing the hips up to the ceiling. This is gnarly. I have gone through times in my training career in the last 20 plus years, 24 years or so, where I've trained 5-6 days a week. I've had programs that I've run 7 days a week. I always feel better when I train 3 days a week. And I tell myself, and I've told myself for the last 10 years, maybe if I can squeeze a little more in, I'll feel better. I'll be able to make progress. But the progress that I've made by adding just a day or two has been so minimal compared to when I can actually get in the gym consistently 3 days a week for an hour, maybe a little over an hour, and just really push it. And what I found out with that approach is when I'm going in 5 days a week, I get less excited the more often I'm in the gym. So my intent drops like crazy. I just find myself going in and going through the motions, as opposed to when I've got 3 scheduled days in the program and I know that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, whatever that split ends up working out for me at that phase that I'm at in my life, I recognize that each time I go into the gym, I'm way more excited to get in there. So I can give 100% effort each time in there. I can really push the weight. I can really move with a good pace, and I can really challenge myself throughout those 3 days. When I start adding a 4th and a 5th and a 6th day, that's when I start to have less intent, and I just start to feel more beat up each time. And that's not the goal, right? And 3 days a week is that perfect number where I feel like I can really get in, really push it, continue to make progress, consistent wins, consistent gains, and any more that I add on top just beats me up. So 3 days, perfect for me. Hope it's perfect for you. 2.5 more minutes here, and we're gonna wrap it up. Also a really good mental challenge to be able to push yourself to limits that you didn't realize you had, because once you do this for 5 minutes, then a 60-second, then a 2-minute ISO is gonna feel like nothing. Final minute here. Athletic Dads, thanks for tuning in. Get the program. I promise you're gonna love it. Again, if it's the worst thing you've ever done, let me know. I'll refund your money, no problem. Just wanna be here to help, man. And I really think this can have have a really great impact on a lot of people. Continue to practice gratitude. Tell the people you love that you love them every single day. And live your life stimulated. You only got one of them. See you guys in the next video. Oh, hammies felt like they were gonna rip off the bone. Woo!